Alrighty. Well, I've got a few ideas and stuff I would like to put out there. I don't exactly know where to start, but I'll basically say tonight's subject will be on, taking someone out of the circle, taking someone out of the boys, and well, let's just say it's the same person Tasha wants to take out. I've got a few different ideas and whatnot. Now, this idiot, this utter fucking dribbling fucking hippo, just has no clue on fucking anything. I remember one time when he was showing a van and it had electric hot plates in there. Oh, well, I suppose these electric hot plates ran off your solar batteries. Oh, you fucking idiot. You're an expert on vans and you think that that's the case. You're obviously not an expert on anything to do with batteries or power draw or anything like that. There is in fact one sort of stove that's an electric stove that has run off batteries, and that is found in 747 planes, that inside the jet engine they have power generation that charges lithium ion batteries, or probably lithium ferrite phosphate batteries, and they can run electric stoves off that. But no, not solar batteries. The guy also saw something he didn't recognise, and it was either an underfloor, under-seat heating system, like the one my parents had got in their camper trailer / caravan, or was an under-seat air conditioning system, and he didn't know what that was. Never mind that though. All I'm trying to say is his clueless knowledge on some RV things that he should know if he's the proclaimed master of RVs is about as good as his knowledge on copyright law. When's the last time you've seen this guy use any copyright symbols in his titles or in the start of his videos, which would be a little bit hard because he never edits them? Never. Fair use. He thinks fair use is just some fucking word. Oh, well, that should be fair use, that it's fair to use it on it. Whoa. Fair use is an actual statute in copyright law, you dumb fucker. Like, is this for real? I believe it was in 1973 it was written in? It was sometime in the 70s that fair use stuff was written in to the law. There's an actual statute number on the whole fucking lot under copyright law. Now, a lot of the time, what it was really made for and what it's generally used for, what its purpose for, is things like what I do. Commentaries on other stuff. Actual commentaries on it. So in other words, when you sit there and you talk a whole fucking bucket load of shit, and I say, okay, you're full of shit, and I'll let you play for a bit, and then I turn around and say, okay, well that's fucking bullshit because point 1, point 2, point 3. I've got a bit of a blocked nose. That's a commentary, like Gavin McIrons used to do. He'd show a video that he thought was bullshit, and he'd say, well, that's false, there's a fact of this, there's statistics of this, boom, boom, boom. So it sort of wouldn't just play it and that was it. Copyright law is supposed to stop against piracy, like where you just literally download TV and put it on YouTube, or you record some guy on the radio and you put it straight on YouTube. Like outright ripping of, whether it's movies, whether it's news, whether it's whatever, just outright ripping it and just fucking putting it straight on YouTube. That's what copyright law is for. Not for giving a commentary. And that's what most of us do. We would be covered by fair use. We probably should be putting a few more fair use notice things up at the start of our videos, but, you know, since YouTube ripped the fucking YouTube video editor from underneath us all, claiming that nobody used it, and, oh, the maintenance was too hard on it. What do you mean? If no one's using it, how much fucking maintenance do you need to do on the fucking thing? You know, oh, only fucking 3% are using it or some bullshit, you know. Well, now we're going to scrap. Well, since they've done that, it's been a little bit harder for me to go putting these notices on and shit, but very hard. But anyway, the fact is that fair use is supposed to cover commentaries, and he's trying to stop us from using commentaries because, quote unquote, that's not fair. Well, go read the statute, you dumbass, because you never even realised it was a law, and it actually is an actual law in the books. And so a lot of our stuff that he's complaining about would be covered by, because a lot of it's commentary. You know, and that's what it's supposed to cover, where you play one person and then you say your opinion on what they've just stated. You know, they say, well, you know, I'm the king of the free world, and you go, well, fucking bullshit. You know, like someone said, where's your declaration of monarchy, and where's your video of your coronation? You know, so when he says he's the king of the free world, you can pause, you can ask questions like that. You can ask him where his fucking crown is. You can ask him why he doesn't have an actual throne and he's sitting in some old hunk of shit made by Ford. You know, whatever. You know, it's commentary. You give your opinions, your relative reflections on it, your, you know, thoughts, ideas, facts, statistics, and perspective, whether it's political perspective or perspective of a fucking beta cuck versus an alpha male. You know, as I'm giving my perspective right now, / opinion / judgment / deconstruction / dicing and slicing of the situation / analysis. And basically, you know, he'd be fucked with all of this stuff. And there's quite a chance that if he tries and copyright strikes a lot of people, that some of it might backfire on him, and in fact he may lose his channel, and that'd be fucking fantastic. I mean, that'd be hilarious, because he makes something new up, but, you know, like, we'll go to that Alpha Nomad one or whatever. But I couldn't believe the dumb bastard sitting there saying, you cannot use my real actual name. Yeah. See, my uncle and some of his friends tried to go through this bullshit of copywriting the use of their name to avoid being served with fucking legal documents and shit like this. Very intriguing. But they sort of come across the idea of like, if you can't have some horseshit song and say your name is fucking Madonna, and then try and sell it on the basis that this is a recording from Madonna. That was sort of, that was about where your copyright was limited to on your name. They actually had this, I'm not joking, it was like a full fucking 2-page document. And I've seen it plenty of times. In fact, they had me, you know, basically do that find thing you can do with Word, where you just basically replace all the one word with a different one to put in more people's names. And it was a fairly finely written like a very fine single-page document. But if you put it up to, like, you know, 10 or 12 point text, you know, damn near 2 pages worth of shit. And it was intriguing, but a lot of this was thrown back in their face because, see, there's another way too. They use what's called your strawman. Now, your strawman might not be your birth name, but it is your legal name. And it is, if you pick up any of the bills that you have, like insurance, phone, whatever the fuck, just pick up some sort of bill, and you'll notice that your name is in capital letters. That is your strawman. That is not you as an individual physical person or your birth name. That is you as a legal entity that we can write legally binding contracts against and hold you to legally binding contracts, such as I will pay my fucking power bill, or the shit that you sign when you buy yourself a new cell phone or whatever. You know, that's what it is. That's the legal you. That's your strawman, as they call it. And they were trying to do things where they sort of separate themselves from their strawman and stuff like that. I'd forgotten all about that until, well, fucking 3 minutes ago. As I was, you know, before, I didn't even remember that before I started making the video. But anyway, the fact is, the dumb fucker has decided, oh, rightio, I'm going to, you know, you can't use my legal actual name. Okay. Then he says you can't use the name Elvis, Travels. Well, that's funny. So now you're trying to copyright the name Elvis. Go fuck yourself, dummy. It's either Priscilla Presley, who may well be dead by now, and if not, it's fucking, well, Lisa Marie Presley, who owns the legal name Elvis in terms of, well, a lot of shit. In fact, I'm told that in the state of Tennessee, it's actually illegal to use someone else's name if you're an impersonator of that person. So it'd be illegal for him in the state of Tennessee to be Elvis anything, because, and I don't know if it's just Tennessee where the name Elvis is protected. I don't know if it's just the name Elvis that's protected in the state of Tennessee, but I think it may be like, even if you name yourself after like a fucking football star or something as well, you know, in the state of Tennessee, you can get your fucking ass kicked, you know, and that's just part of the way it is. And that's intriguing. It's very intriguing. Because that whole thing I was saying about Madonna, I mean, that's enforced full on. But this dumb bastard thinks he's going to copyright the name Elvis eating like a pig, Elvis singing badly, Elvis having a dump on the toilet, Elvis driving in the fast lane at 35 miles an hour, Elvis travels, Elvis... Wait. No, you fucktard! You can't fucking get the name Elvis any more than you can take on the name Trump. Fuck me! In fact, there's a place that I see, and it must be not too far from where I work, and I think the owners are actually called Trump because they, well, the business name involves the name Trump. But let's just say they're not in construction or politics. Put it like that. I'm not saying they've got nothing at all to do with houses, because it sort of does, but they're not actual builders per se. But, you know, you'd probably find that they actually have the same last name as you know, the US president. So anyway, I mean, how fucking dumb can you get? You know, why doesn't he start dressing up tranny and then call himself Madonna Travels and then claim that he's got the name Madonna Travels? Well, you know, what if Madonna wants to use that name when she starts a YouTube channel after she retires, so she can drive around all the liberal shitholes of California or something? I don't know. Whatever the fuck she wants to drive to, you know. Maybe she wants to drive to Slab City and meet all the other van-dwelling fucktards. I don't know. But unbelievable. But anyway, I want to now move on to the subject of, well, you know, supporting people. Now, I once said that I support Dave the Fisherman, and holy fucking macaroni, I didn't know I could get that many comments on a fucking video that quickly. Like, I think the first fucking couple days it was like 48 comments, and then within a week it was like 150 or some bullshit. Like, what the fuck's going on here? So it went pretty ballistic because I said I supported Dave the Fisherman, and people were like, "Whoa, what the fuck? No, but Dave the Fisherman lied about this one or that one, or he's a fisherman once, and now he's a farmer, and now he's a... But, whoa, back up. I never said that I believed and stood by Dave on every single little itty-bitty point and declaration, proclamation, claim, statement, or otherwise that he's come out of his mouth. I never said that. I just said I'm standing by the guy on the basis that he is kicking Elvis's ass, because at that time, several months ago, that's what he was doing. He was turning up to Elvis and saying, "Elvis, I'm your biggest fan!" and stuff like that. And, you know, I stood by him for the ideas that he was hunting down Elvis and going to sue Elvis. And you know, look, like, I'll give you another example. There's a certain person who, you know, well, DHC, you might know who I'm talking about. And to say her and me are on other sides of the political fence is probably, you know, that's just putting it fairly lightly. You know, she's certainly pretty hard on Democrat, and I don't live in America, but I'll tell you what, you don't need to be a rocket scientist to guess that I'm, well, you know, guess what side I'm on. But anyway, you know, being the hard-ass arsehole that I sometimes... well, I don't know that I'm an arsehole, but I know I am a fucking hard-ass, there's no question about that. You know, even my co-workers know that I'm a bit of a fucking, you know, a bit of a full-on person at times, and a lot of them have sort of stated that I have a tendency to get angry. And I do. If things are fucking me around, I get angry. I start slamming them with a forklift and shit, and yeah. I'm not always the most tolerant person, because it's a mix of anger and motivation with me. It's sort of like sometimes I get angry, that gets me more motivated, you know. And sometimes there's little things you know, just start pissing you off, especially when you're under pressure and you've got trucks going here, there and everywhere, and everything's left to the fucking last minute and then dumped on you as the truck driver's waiting for you to finish this shit. And that sort of shit is really starting to piss me off with this manager, because it didn't happen with other managers. But anyway, yeah. Fact is that, back to the fucking point, due to a debacle with a certain dopey-assed former off-gridder who likes to play a lot of drama and a lot of fucking sob stories to levels that just astronomically outweigh Nomadic Fanatic and all these. You know, we have a common interest, and there is somebody who both pisses us off quite incredibly, who both of us have not really been on his channel for 2 years or more, in my case I'd say, and well, it probably is about 2 years for both of us, to be honest. And still, you know, we seem to be on the receiving end of attacks from this unsubstantiated bullshit from this fucktard, this beta cuck wimp who can't even hang on to his fucking mail order bride. But anyway, you know, I got no trouble joining forces with people, joining hands with people, and when we come together under a common cause, I back them. And I don't know if they back me or not, but it doesn't fucking matter. I don't give a shit. if they back me or they don't feel right about backing a pro-Trumper or whatever, it doesn't matter to me. It really doesn't matter. Because I'll back them when we've got a common interest. And I don't really agree with the concept of, anarchists and all that. Especially not ones who might not survive mob rule, who might be extradited by, otherwise pushed out of society by under mob rule. But I stand by Tasha, and I don't give a fuck about what Tasha was born as or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter to me. Tasha is kicking Elvis's ass, and I'll fucking tell you what, Tasha, if you ever need money for legal fees, if you're a bit hard up for a bit of cash or whatever, as you're going through this shit with Elvis's fucking legal fees or whatever, just make a video with something about that in the title, or, say it quite pronounced in one of your videos, and if you can show me the bill, I'll send you the fucking money. Simple as that. Not a problem. And this is the thing, so long as it's not going to go somewhere over $5,000 or some bullshit fucking figure like this, as long as it's, realistic court fees that I'm seeing and shit like that, are, what my understanding is of the costs of these types of things. And, I'd be happy to cover it for you if you're having trouble covering it yourself, because I'm happy to stand by people that are taking out arseholes. And I don't care if it's Elvis Travels or some other fucking little dreamy boy who moved from New York to Michigan after drinking fake champagne to declare that he's now a landowner, to then somehow be evicted about fucking a year and a half later or some shit, or a year later, You fucking liar, But anyway, I'm all for the concept of standing by people who are taking out e-beggars, who are taking out arseholes. And I'm not going to sit there getting paranoid over what you were born as, or what your political leaning is, or if you've lied about some other stuff to do with whatever the fuck in the past. So long as I think you're fairly, reasonably straight shooter, if you're a fucking, meth addict with your eyes googling out of your head, I don't know. But as long as I think you're a fairly straight shooter, even if we don't agree on every fucking point about everything, I don't give a shit. It's not really we've found a common goal, and I will fucking back you. And yeah, I'll be proud to stand next to you. I'll be proud to fucking back you. I'll be proud to even hand you fucking money to take down these fucktards, Now, there's an interesting method that I saw, and many of you, especially those of you who've been around a while, may have seen, with somebody who gave money to Elvis, and there's this fucking trick, and it's really hacker skill type stuff, but they can basically get someone whose channel they want to take down, and they can get a strike on a video that this person has actually made featuring the actual channel owner. And, well, you know how copyright strikes generally work, and if you've got a little bit of brains on some of these things, you might be able to understand how the striker can take out the same person who originally uploaded the video. I'm not going to get into it here on real detail, at least not in this video, and probably not really on this channel. Maybe, I'll let it slip in other ways, but I would say that Dave the Fisherman, if I gave him enough info on what I know of how this may well be done, I think Dave could very well pull it off. And this person, there was someone in the Boyd, and this is going back about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, yeah, probably more like 2 years ago. There was someone who was sneaking around, and if they gave money to certain e-beggars, like they just fucking bang, it just hit them. And they could, I'm not joking, they could take a channel down in less than 90 minutes, like fully collapse it with so many copyrights that the channel was finished in 90 minutes. It's fucking incredible how they done it. And I sort of do have a good idea of how they actually went about it. But they need to know a little bit more than I would about the ins and outs of YouTube. But I sort of know the basic shell of how they've done it. That could be done to Elvis and that could finish him very quickly. No questions asked. His main channel, gone. Everything. Fucking bull. You take the whole lot down in a day, like honestly. If he had 5 channels, you take the fucking lot out in a day. Like, that's honestly what it's like. You know, but really speaking, if he lost his main channel, he'd be fucked. He'd be gone. He'd be finished. You know, and, yeah. But anyway, I think really speaking, there's nothing to say that there's another option to all of this shit. And that is just to have a legal slush fund. Now, if you can raise $1,000 to send Elbo back to fucking, what's his name? Not back to Iraq, to send Elvis to Iraq, well, you know, and you can raise that in a week for a guy who has self-admittedly doesn't even have a passport, so he says. Intriguing. See, I reckon it maybe be an idea to make a bit of a slush fund, and maybe I could throw a couple thousand in. You know, have a little work out, probably, you know, if Tash is successful, or, well, I did know a lawyer, actually. He was more, well, he's more, long story short, but he wasn't involved necessarily in libel cases. He was a corporate lawyer that I used to talk to a bit on YouTube, but he, man, he'd talk about flaming go-getter, like he's the sort of guy that liked to fight, and, you know, he might have, he was talking with TM as well, it turns out, because, well, there's a certain map of subdivisions that turned up of Mr. Fairy Meadows area, and that lawyer actually got us that subdivision map to show how many goddamn subdivisions there were next to Mr. I'm living out deep in the forest, aka fucking mile and a half away from the back of shops, and with subdivisions all around himself, you know. And we didn't really know anything about this subdivision map, and this lawyer pulled it up for us, but I'm not really in contact with that lawyer anymore, although he is a fucking hard ass, I'll tell you that. He's more fucking, like, a more head-button things than I am. If you ever think I swear a lot, and, well, this guy doesn't swear a lot, but I tell you what, he's the sort of guy that, you know, if there's no video cameras around, he'd probably fucking trip Elvis over before he come into court, but he fucking, gee, he was one of these guys that loved the fight, sort of thing, like, he wouldn't fucking, and he'd never sort of back down from saying something straight out, sort of thing. He'd never fucking sneak around it. He just straight out. He told me, you know, if he thought something, he'd just fucking tell me, just straight up like that. He'd just be straight up every time, you know. And it's like there was just his way, you know. But having said that, you know, like if we were all to sue Elvis for libel, which we potentially could, in a class action, and we had a big slush fund to pay for these lawyers that were going to represent us. You know, even I've been slandered saying that, well, you know, drive up to Sydney for the weekend, dude, it's fucking a 12-hour drive in one direction in my little Australian car. Oh, fuck off, I got the largest damn Ford that Ford bloody well had in the late 90s, early 1000s. At the time, that was what I was driving, but that car's since retired. You know, I drive up in my little Australian car. Don't assume any Australian cars are fucking little, numbnuts. And, you know, then I hang around the bookshops of Sydney to try and pick up poofters. And I'm a fucking bottoms boy. Oh, fuck off, you dickhead. It's 12 hours one way to Sydney, you fucktard. You know? Fucking idiot. So I could sue him on the basis of that, but it's a very old video, and I wouldn't really have as much as, say, someone like Boris Zoloft or you know, some of these others who, you know, a lot of others, particularly Tucker, for fuck's sake, you know, definitely Tucker, and his wife and his daughter and all that, you know, and you sort of, you look at all this stuff and you sort of sit there going, well, if you had so there's a thing, you could have a class action, but it'd be one judge, one shot, one chance, and that's it for all of us. So you'd sort of get to, you know, basically give Elvis a run for his money, a whooping or whatever, just that once with one class action. And if that one judge, that one stinking judge, turned around and said, meh, nah, you don't win, or fucking whatever, throw it out of court, or whatever, not enough evidence, case dismissed, whatever the fuck, you know, you wouldn't have a chance. However, if we were to work out the way that a libel case is structured, whether it's Tasha, whether it's someone else who's got law, relatives in law or whatever, and we could do it one individually, the next individually, the next individually, and say there was like, what we got, like maybe, you know, 6, 8, a dozen people all went at him for libel, that'd be like, you know, 6, 8 or a dozen court cases that old Tubby had to turn up for, that he had to deal with, that he had to handle, that he had to get a lawyer for, that he had to turn up before lunchtime 8 different times, 12 different times, and defend himself 8, 12, it'd fucking wear him out. Whereas once, it's only once, so you wouldn't want a class action. You'd want everyone to go in individually, one by one by one, and you'd burn him out. Like, you get to case number fucking 7 and he'd have a fucking heart attack and die, you know? He couldn't handle it all, you know? And this is the thing, you could just, if it was one case, it'd be done, bang, okay, we all have fucking a day or 2 days or whatever in court, and then it's all over. You know, probably wouldn't even be 2 days, it would just be, you know, it'd be fairly quick. Might even be fucking 2 hours, you know, and it'd be all over. Versus all the rigmarole and the this and the that and the sign here and the you have been set and all the fucking bullshit that you'd have to go through as it made up to case number 8, case number 9, case number 10. Oh, fuck. He'd be fucking knackered. Like, it would burn him out so much that that's it. He would never come back to YouTube. He would probably just go hide back in his tin can on wheels and never deal with the rest of the world again, you know? And this is the thing, you know? You'd fucking learn. Now, there's another, Boris Zoloft has brought up the idea that maybe, you know, if he messed with the wrong person who, quote-unquote, split his wig, oh, it only needs to happen once or maybe 2 or 3 times and he'd never do it again. Yeah, well, nobody needs to split anyone's wig or anything like that. You know, we just got to fucking just, you know, some people, like, I don't give a fuck about dealing with court cases, and I doubt Tasha does it at all, but it wouldn't really worry me much. But to the person on the receiving end, it depends on the person too. Like my uncle, it was fucking, he was happy to, he was happy to be under good air conditioning. That's what. He'd just about, you know, light a cigar and let's get the show on the road, boys. He reveled in it. He loved that sort of shit because he actually got used to all that sort of stuff, you know. But this is the thing. for someone like Elvis, like it'd drain the fuck out of him, you know. And but then you wonder if it would, because he was there in that case with fucking David Fisherman, and he's going on as though he was the one that kicked Dave's ass, although he couldn't even give his fucking evidence to the judge. And then he's going on that he felt it was the biggest case since O.J. Simpson and all that. Maybe you'd end up pumping the guy's ego, but I doubt you would. I reckon the judge would look over their glasses at some point and say to Elvis, okay, that's it, you know, you've obviously made it. When they give their little judgment, their little summary of judgment at the end of the case, and they basically say, okay, well, you're a fuckhead and now you've got to pay money, like Elvis would be like, ooh, and then bang, bang the little fucking, what, is it gamut? It's not hammer. Gamel. Is that the, I don't know. Something like that. That's the name of it. They bang the little fucking hammer thing anyway, and you know, that's it, the judgment's been passed. You know, you get a couple of bad ones against Elvis like that, and all of a sudden this fucking, like, people believe it's a fake persona of being, you know, a king. And a lot of people say it's all just a fucking put on. That'd soon come off if he realised that he was going to be in deep. And if Tasha can get a $5,000 one, well, maybe some of us should try for $5,000 as well. And then the poor bastard will be in. Well, no, I'm not going to call him a poor bastard. The bastard will be in. You know, by the time he's in about fucking $30,000 deep, you know, that might be about time the persona shakes. So it probably will if Tasha gets her way, you know. But it'd be good to see the fucking little persona shake off and him going and shitting himself. It'd be good when the reality starts to sink in, you know. But and he starts to realise that he's not the top shit that he thought he was, you know. I'd love to see that moment. I wish that moment's caught on camera. It's fucking funny enough when he gets scared and that's caught on camera. But to people following him in a convertible Volvo. Yes. Oh, the U-Haul van. Oh. Oh, fuck. I mean, those moments are funny enough, but you realise, you're like, if this guy realised how fucking deep he was in the shit when he was $30,000 in, and then, see, the other thing over here, I don't know how it works in the States, but over here, you can, see, I had a business for a short while. It was fairly short-lived, but I went and saw a debt collector and I said, what are my options if customers don't pay me? And they basically said, well, we can do this, we can do this. And they said, now, if it goes to court, if there are enough of arseholes there, you know, we can take it to court and we've got our own lawyers. And basically, if a court gives down an order, you can chase someone for that money for 10 years. And due to something that happened with my uncle and his bankruptcy stuff, they can chase you with debt collectors for 10 years. But even when you die, and this was like at the 12-year point, they could still fucking chase him because then they put it on their estate. So it means as though you can't settle their will until this debt's paid. And they've fucking done that with my uncle. And my dad had to pay, you know, well, what was it? Oh, I forget now. I think it was either $8,000 or $12,000 or something. And they just had to fucking pay it, like, you know. And otherwise they couldn't settle the property into my name or his name. Well, it was actually into his name first, and then transfer, because there's a thing where you can transfer farming land from father to son. But because he was the next of kin of his brother, my uncle, you know, that was an easy transfer. And then there was a bit more paperwork with this. It's like a fucking, like a Farm Inheritance Act or some bullshit where they can transfer it from father to son without any stamp duty. So we got it and it saved us fucking truckfuls in stamp duty. Stamp duty is about 20% of the value of the property. The property, well, most recent government figures on this at $350,000 valuation on this place. So, you know, you can do the math there. Now, anyway, yeah, long and short of it, I was a fucking got off track about all this property bullshit. Oh yeah, that's right. If a court orders that you, Mr. Fat Hoofer in a tin can on wheels, must pay the Miss Tasha Teeling $5,000 in libel costs. If Tasha and Fat Hoofer in a tin can on wheels were in Australia, Tasha could use a debt collection agency to chase Fat Hoofer in a tin can on wheels for 10 years from the order of the court date. Now, it gets a little bit sticky after that 10 years is up, because you'd have to rehab another case involving it, and in which case they'd say, well, haven't you written it off in that 10 years, or if he's financially hard up and he couldn't pay in 10 years, is he still going to be able to pay now, blah, 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 blah. But you need a second court case after that 10 years. But that's the thing. If Elvis said, I'm not going to pay it, I'm not going to pay it, I'm not going to pay it, well, then what you'd do is you'd work towards repossession agents, like car repo agents, to see if they couldn't grab his van. And, then there'd be like you could chase him with debt collectors for 10 years. Under Australian law, I don't know how it is in the States, but that's an option that Tasha may have on the table as well, and some of you may want to mention that to her, and she'll probably find out in due course, because I think she's pretty smart with all this sort of stuff, that you could use a repossession agent who repossesses cars, trucks, vans, and all that shit to actually snatch his vehicle. Hopefully he's out stuffing his face again or something, and you can basically grab his van, and they're not going to get busted for, if it's all done correctly, like, they're not going to get busted by the cops for stealing or any shit like that, because they're repossessing something that, like there's been a court order to get it, and Tash is basically seizing property to fulfill the court order as handed down by a judge type thing. So, but I think that's something that you'd go to a car repo or a debt collection agency, and they'd be able to spell you out on all that. And of course, they'd want their little cut too. You might be paying like, I think the figure I was paying was, I think it was like 15% or something they wanted for commission for whatever I got out of them. Not what the debt was, but what they actually handed over to me. I think the debt collection agency wanted like 15% or something, which isn't too bad actually, considering that you're probably never going to fucking see it again. But yeah. Anyway, it's just a few ideas on how to deal with this idiot. And let's face it, he is dumber than most of us. As individual to individual, he is stupider. He's got the brains of, fuck me, I think he's got about 1/3 of my brains. But most people, even average people, he's only got damn well half the brains of average people. And I think the reality of the situation, like even people who aren't very smart with law or technicalities, he's still only got half the brains of some of them. Who are people who, know they're not really very good with technical stuff and law and stuff like that. His brains are fucking horse shit. And so, if all of us were put our brains together, he'd be like a fucking ant next to the whole lot of us combined, And it's power in number, but power in number of brains that are individually bigger than his to begin with, So anyway, that's just a few of my thoughts and stuff like that. And, yeah.